Hey guys, and welcome to a brand new video here on HD Pocket. Today we've got a couple of updates to go over, and then also what to expect in next week's new expansion coming to Pokemon TCG Pocket. Let's get into it. So, starting things off, if you've been living under a rock, the new Pokemon Presents for Pokemon Day 2025 was announced yesterday, and this is basically where the new TCG set is most likely going to be announced. It could get revealed earlier, but I feel like they're just going to build the hype up and just announce it during this, because this is everything to do with Pokemon. It's the Pokemon day of the year. In regards to when it's going to be live in your time zone, there's a few here posted by Macchio and J Roses. So Los Angeles is 6 a.m., Chicago is 8 a.m., New York is 9 a.m., Sao Paulo is 11 a.m., and Buenos Aires it's 11 a.m. In Europe and Africa it's 2 p.m. in Lisbon, 2 p.m. in the UK, 3 p.m. in Paris, 3 p.m. in Berlin, 3 p.m. in Italy, 3 p.m. in Madrid, and then it's 4 p.m. in Johannesburg. And then in the Asia and Pacific regions, in Moscow it's 5 o'clock, Dubai it's 6 o'clock, in Mumbai it's 7:30 p.m., Bangkok it's 9 o'clock, Beijing it's 10 o'clock, Singapore it's 10 o'clock, Tokyo it's 11 o'clock, and then in Sydney it's actually 1 a.m. the day after. So if you're in Australia, you're going to be celebrating Pokemon Day the day after. But anyway, those are all the time zones. If your time zone isn't there, best thing to do is just type in 2 p.m. UTC and compare it to what your time zone is, and then you'll be able to find out when this goes live. But anyway, what are we expecting for the new Pokemon TCG Pocket set releasing next week? So this was posted on Pokemon Zone, and this is likely what we're going to be getting in this set. Obviously, we don't know. It might get leaked beforehand. It probably will get leaked beforehand, but either way, this was posted, as I say, on Pokemon Zone. It says A2A approaches. The new set is scheduled on the 28th of February, just a day after Pokemon Day, which celebrates the 29th anniversary of Pokemon Red and Green in Japan. We can expect to get a trailer at this date, as the broadcast is scheduled for Thursday the 27th at 2 p.m. at UTC. And again, we've just gone over all the time zones and everything like that for you. This themed booster pack, so the set code is A2A, is Pokemon TCG Pocket's upcoming mini set to accompany the Space-Time Smackdown expansion, being A2. For reference, A1A, also known as Mythical Island, has 68 cards, excluding Star and Crown versions. It introduced many important additions to the game, while also synergizing with older cards. For example, the Mythical Island Rapidash and Mythical Island Golem made Brock and Blandex more viable. We should expect something similar with A2A, new Pokemon, but also new cards for some archetypes already out there. I also wouldn't be surprised to see some more Pokemon tools. That's something that they've clearly drove the game into with the Space-Time Smackdown set. So yeah, a couple more tools I could also kind of see in this next TCG set. But it also says Mythical Island came with 5 Pokemon EX, 3 supporter trainers. Let's go ahead assuming something similar will happen on February the 28th. So let's take a look at the Pokemon EX cards that are likely to be in this next TCG set. So for the Pokemon EX cards, I have 3 strong candidates and some riskier alternatives. So Giratina EX, this is almost a given if we believe that Giratina will be the face of this expansion. Again, we don't know it's going to be, but it's very likely. We've had the packs for Dialga and Palkia. Giratina is the 3rd legendary of the Sinnoh games, so it's very likely to get the pack as well. But on the other side of things, it could also be Arceus. Arceus is a mythical Pokemon in Sinnoh, in Pokemon Diamond and Pearl. We haven't had a single Arceus card yet, and obviously Mythical Island was about mythical Pokemon, so why wouldn't Arceus be? So I think the 2 biggest kind of choices would be Giratina and Arceus. But anyway, it says, this is almost a given if we believe that Giratina will be the face of this expansion. Additionally, it is the only member of the Creation Trio missing an EX variant. Giratina's regular card did not have a particularly remarkable attack, so I'm unsure what to expect from its EX variant. Perhaps it will be the first Dragon-type EX card. Next up, we have Torterra and Empoleon EX. So for an unknown reason, only the Fire Starter, being Infernape, received an EX card in A2, which leads me to expect that the other 2 starter lines will be featured in this set. Another strong pattern observed is that with the Kanto starters, the EX variant of the final evolution had a stronger version of the attack found on the regular card. This would mean that Torterra EX's attack could deal 200 damage but cannot be used consecutively, similar to Charizard and Charizard EX, both of which require discarding 2 energy. The regular card deals 150 damage, while the EX deals 200. So that could be something we see with Torterra. Then it says Empoleon cards in the original TCG often feature an attack that damages the bench, like STS, Empoleon's Aqua Jet Attack, which deals 80 damage to the active Pokemon and 30 damage to one on the bench. A parallel can be drawn with GA Venusaur, whose EX variant deals 20 more damage but heals the same amount as the regular card. I feel like if we get an Empoleon EX and it keeps Aqua Jet but does more damage, it's going to be a very, very viable card in the meta. And then we have other possible EX cards as well. So considering that the Mythical Island also introduced a secondary main Pokemon in Celebi, which instantly terrorized the metagame, we can infer that there will be another EX legendary Pokemon. I mean, I think they mean mythical. Celebi is a mythical. I know it's a little bit technological and stuff, but they are seen as mythical Pokemon. The first candidate is Shaman, whose Sky form was revealed in Pokemon Platinum, the video game whose cover Pokemon was none other than Giratina. Trivia: Shaman EX Sky Form's TCG card from Roaring Skies 2015 was one of the most meta-defining cards of its time due to its drawing power. Another factor to consider is that Space-Time Smackdown gave EX variants to evolutions introduced in Generation 4, so Weavile, Yanmega, Gallade, Lickilicky. Many Pokemon fit this criteria, but my personal bet is Frostless, not only because it has an appealing design, but also because it mysteriously did not receive a card in A2. So yeah, Frostless EX, probably more likely to get one than Magmortar or Electivire. And again, they haven't spoken about Arceus here, but Arceus, if that isn't in the mini set, I have no idea what's going on, because it is literally one of the biggest I mean, it's the god of Pokemon. Like, how can you miss that Pokemon out? But either way, those are the most likely EX cards. And there was also a Dragon-type Pokemon as well. So the Dragon-type is perhaps the most popular of the 18 Pokemon types. Who doesn't like dragons? In TCG, they are the only one that does not have their own energy type. These Pokemon require two types of energy to use their attacks, which makes it harder to build around, but also more exciting and rewarding. I'm looking at you, Dragonite and Garchomp. Every set has brought a few amount of them, and I doubt A2A will be the exception. So some candidates are the Salamence evolutionary line, the Flygon line, Altaria and Swablu, and then Kingdra. So this last one will be my guess, as we already have its pre-evolutions being Horsea and Seadra in the game. Altaria would be a fun pick as it uses the energy types of Palkia and Dialga. We then also have a baby Pokemon issue. So as you may have noticed, no baby Pokemon has been released yet, barring Riolu. Riolu is in the game, and that is seen as a baby Pokemon in the games. But even though Gen 4 introduced many to the Pokedex, the possible reasons are as follows. 20 card decks, so in TCG Pocket, we are restricted to a smaller deck size, making it difficult to include optional baby Pokemon in their evolutionary lines. And then also low HP. So historically, baby Pokemon only have 30 HP, making them extremely fragile. And a game where battles are often decided in the first few turns, including such fragile Pokemon is questionable. Currently only Magikarp has 30 HP in TCG Pocket, whose poor bulk is later rewarded with its evolution Gyarados. Since no similar reward exists for other baby Pokemon, their inclusion seems impractical on a deck building perspective. So I'm inclined to believe that A2A will not include baby Pokemon, but we will see on the 28th of February. I mean, they make a good point. Like, Riolu is obviously a baby, but Riolu is actually a very good card for fighting decks because of Lucario giving 20 damage to fighting type Pokemon attacks against the active spot. But yeah, I think if you're bringing in, like, I mean, the only other Generation 4 babies are like Mime Jr., Bonsly, Munchlax, Pokemon like that. I could see Munchlax potentially being in the game, but Pokemon like Bonsly and stuff, yeah, I think it's very, very unlikely. But either way, it says Infernape, Diamond Pearl, other Pokemon cards in the set. So following the idea that every EX card also has a regular variant up until now, with the notable exception of Celebi, we could expect the following regular cards being Infernape, Pachirisu, Mismagius, Weavile, Lickilicky, Yanmega, Gallade, Palkia, and Dialga. So for Infernape, Diamond and Pearl 2007 set was the inspiration for Infernape EX in Pokemon Trading Card Game Pocket, with a strong 2 energy attack that makes you discard all fire energies, also having no retreat cost. It always comes handy to look back on previous TCG cards to have an idea of what is coming next. And then Gallade had some interesting cards along the time, with its most relevant iteration being in 2017 Masters World Champion Diego Casiraga's deck. Both his ability and attack can have a space in TCG Pocket. The idea of having extra damage when using a supporter is an interesting approach, however these should have to be nerfed considerably to follow the pace of the current game. And then let's not forget notable misses from the Generation 4 being Mothim, Cherubi, Cherim, Fione, and Arceus. It's weird that we didn't get Mothim because we've got 3 Wormadam cards, and obviously it's the male evolution of Burmy, so I don't know why we didn't get Mothim, but we got so many Wormadams. Anyway, Arceus, the Pokemon God. So, but you are missing the God of all Pokemon Arceus, which again is exactly what we just said. Ladies and gentlemen, I regret to inform you that the likelihood of Arceus appearing in the next set is very slim. This is mainly because the two other major Pokemon mobile games, Pokemon Go and Pokemon Masters EX, have been around for years, since 2016 and 2019 respectively, and have not released the Pokemon God in any form. I doubt we will get it just a few months after Pokemon Pocket's release. There is a rumor that the next expansion will be called Origin Temple and will focus on Arceus. However, it really goes against the treatment the God Pokemon has got until now on mobile games. I hope I get this right or my predicting career is over. I don't think that's enough ground to say that it's not going to be in the game. I feel like it could easily be in the game. It shouldn't take notice of, like, it's a completely different developer, stuff like that. I don't think there's a sort of thing they have to follow where they're not allowed to use Arceus in mobile games. I just think it's a coincidence. I'd expect to see it personally. I think it's going to be in the next set, but hey, that's just my prediction. And then other considerations, I really like this one the most. I've seen this pop up a couple of times, and I think this is a really cool way to, especially if it's about Arceus. If this is an Arceus pack, I definitely expect it to be about Hisui. So if you don't know what Hisui is, it's about Legends Arceus, which is of course one of the main series games. It's all about Arceus and stuff, and there's a lot of new forms and stuff in that game. There's Origin Dialga, Origin Palkia, so they could be seen in the game, and obviously you have all the mythicals and stuff like that. But Space Time Smackdown focuses on Gen 4 Pokemon and characters. If A2A were to follow this path, similar to how Mew in Mythical Island is also a Generation 1 Pokemon, like Genetic Apex focuses on, we could get content from two video games, being Pokemon Platinum and Pokemon Legends Arceus. So Pokemon Platinum is almost identical to the main story in Gen 4 Pokemon Diamond and Pearl, whose protagonists were Palkia and Dialga, but it focuses, as previously mentioned, on Giratina. Pokemon Legends Arceus takes the story to ancient time, with a Sinnoh region, standard name for Gen 4 region, is called Hisui. In this game, Hisuian forms were introduced, as well as Origin form Palkia and Dialga. We have Hisuian Electrode's evolution line, Hisuian Arcanine, Hisuian Lilligant, Hisuian Sneasel, and they would be cards that may come based on the regular forms we've seen in TCG Pocket so far. However, considering that no alternate forms have been mentioned before, and Giratina's regular card does not specify its origin form, we will probably not see different forms in this set. So again, it's less likely, but I think if it is about Arceus, I think there will be some Hisui stuff in there. But anyway, also says upcoming trainers and supporter cards. As mentioned earlier, packs typically include 3 supporters. If we consider that A2A might have only 1 pack, my candidates for A2A are Looker, who was introduced in Pokemon Platinum as an international police officer investigating Team Galactic, a team we've already seen represented by Mars and Cyrus. He also has lost his memory as well, so that might be something to do with what his ability is. But let's look at one of the TCG cards. Similar to what Professor's research does in TCG Pocket, Looker could allow players to draw cards from the bottom of the deck. This could pair well with the mythical slab item from A1A. However, being able to put in your 20 cards deck 2 more supporter cards with drawing power might be a little bit too OP, so there will definitely be some fine-tuning if Looker comes to Pokemon Pocket. We also have Barry as well, also known as a rival for Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum. Mythical Island gave us the card for Blue, our rival from the Kanto region. We could expect Barry as a new supporter. We could also get Lucas as well. We got Dawn, who is the female protagonist in Pokemon Diamond and Pearl, but we didn't get Lucas. And he, of course, is the male protagonist, but we could also get Barry as well. Other relevant characters introduced in Platinum include Sharon, the latest Team Galactic commander, and the frontier brains of the battle frontier, with the most notable being Tower Tycoon Palmer, who happens to be Barry's father. If A2A were to include references to Pokemon Legends Arceus, the first character that comes to mind is Volo, whose ability to discard one of your Pokemon to avoid avoid awarding your opponent a point could prove useful in a Cyrus and bench damage focused metagame. And then also we have item cards. So one of the biggest hopes is that Rare Candy will be introduced in Pokemon TCG Pocket. However, its TCG Pocket effect might prove too overwhelming for this game. Skipping a Stage 1 Pokemon entirely will be too overpowered for decks like Charizard, Garchomp, or Togekiss. A fair nerf might be to allow players to use it to evolve a Pokemon in play with a card straight from the deck. It comes in the form of Wally in the original TCG game. It would also fit the metagame quite well, as decks usually leaning towards a basic Pokemon right now being their main damage dealer. This is due to the inconsistency of getting your Stage 2 Pokemon online fast enough. So in conclusion, all in all, there's likely a bunch of cards that will change the meta to make more decks viable. Considering there are 2 more months until A3 gets released on the 30th of April, A2A might bring more cards with a bigger impact than A1A had, to compensate for the longer hiatus until the next release. Because we also had one less pack in Space Time SmackDown as well. Like Genetic Apex had 3, Space Time SmackDown had 2. So maybe we get 2 packs instead of 1. Maybe we get Giratina and Arceus, and that completes the 4-pack sort of kind of set for A2. Remember that these are speculations and yada yada yada. We should be finding out on the 28th anyway. I mean, they might get leaked before that. They probably will. But either way, those are the most likely things we could be expecting to see in Pokemon TCG Pocket. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, drop a like down below. Leave a comment. What are you hoping to see in the next set released next week? But thank you for watching. Have a fantastic rest of your day. And until next time, peace.